For nearly 7 decades, it was the principal and largest international air carrier and came to define the world of air travel. But Pan Am's financial collapse in 1991 signaled the end of an era and made the brand a part of American history. The airline's legacy has even sparked a new ABC primetime drama following the fictional stories of the airline's flight attendants and pilots.
And Hawaii's own history is actually closely linked with the airline, having served as the stop for its first trans-Pacific flight back in 1935.
Now, in honor of the 75th anniversary of that flight, the Pacific Aviation Museum has launched a special exhibit. And KITV4's Jill Kuramoto joins us live inside. Jill, I hope there's a Pan Am bag there.
There is, and I'll show it to you in a minute, but good morning. And yes, it was 75 years ago that Pan Am made that first commercial passenger flight from the mainland to Hawaii. That was in 1935, and it was on a plane that looked just like this, a Martin 130, and that flight took 17 hours and 14 minutes. Well, it was a significant day in aviation history and Hawaii history because it really opened up Hawaii to the rest of the world. And now that milestone is being marked with a new exhibit here at the Pacific Aviation Museum. It's a Pan Am exhibit, and here to talk more about that is Ken DeHoff, the executive director for the museum. And Ken, tell me about why this is such an important exhibit to add to the Aviation Museum here.
Well, good morning, Jill. Aloha. Ford Island is absolutely a wonderful place to have a museum. Aviation started in Hawaii in about 1910 when Bud Mars flew on this side of the island. It's just part of the history of Hawaii. And to think that the Pan Am first flight landed here in 1936, it's amazing that aviation started that long ago here in Hawaii.
True.
So it's so important because often we're thought of as being just a military aviation museum. We tell the story of heroes long before the military brought aviation to Hawaii. And this is an opportunity to show the community another one of the historic parts of our community and of Hawaii.
Exactly, and as you look around in this exhibit, you can see a lot of great artifacts, and these are actually real pieces that are contributed from actual connections with people with Pan Am. And Jim Goodall is the associate curator here at the museum. And good morning, Jim.
Good morning, aloha.
And really, Pan Am, as we said, opened up Hawaii to the rest of the world, really put Hawaii on the map. And that's what kind of this display is all about?
Well, we wanted to celebrate what actually putting Hawaii on the map, and that's what Pan Am did in 1936 and 1935. 1935 was the first mail delivery. On the 22nd of October 1936 was the first paying passenger. And he came in on the Martin M130, but was followed by the Sikorsky S-42 and the Boeing Clipper, the 314.
But this is the early years of Pan Am.
Correct.
And this, we're looking at what over here is what they actually used to navigate back in the day, correct?
Right. Before GPS, before satellites, the way you found where you wanted to go was a sextant, and they used either stars or the sun. And the navigator had to go up in a little bubble on top of the airplane. He'd get a certain sighting. He'd check his drift, his location, and they were able to find this small speck of land in the middle of absolutely this vast Pacific Ocean. And that's how mariners and early pilots have traveled all over the world.
So exactly. And so this exhibit is really in two parts, the early years and the jet age. And so, that's what we're going to be looking at this morning. I'm going to show you a little bit about the jet age in our next hour, but this is a really amazing exhibit, and you can learn so much about Hawaii history, Pan Am history, aviation history. So get your Pan Am bag out and come on down. I know you got one, Mahea.
You like those Pan Am bags, don't you?
Well, I remember being in elementary school and seeing people of the older generation having them. And so I wish I had one today. Do you have one, Jill?
No, I don't.
I think it should be a great exhibit. I remember as a kid, I love those model airplanes. So, Jill, I'm sure if you take your son Jace out there, he'll have a great time. But, Jill, thank you so much for that report.